anyway, here it is, my capstone project. So when I had originally proposed a capstone project, I was doing some work with Jerry Vistine with coyotes, and I thought I would continue that work and sort of add to it and develop a program around coyotes as my capstone project. Prior to that, or just around the same time as that, I had seen John Muir Laws was organizing this amazing event out in California called Wild Wonder, a nature journaling conference. And it was so exciting. And I thought, wow, that would be so cool to have that, something like that out here on the East Coast. So I popped off an email to the folks at Schoodic and waited and never heard anything back. So I continued on with my coyote capstone project. And then right before our capstone project deadline, I got this email from Megan Mosier at the Schoodic Institute who said, I love your idea. We want to do it. Let's do it. So I did an About You turn, wrote a new proposal, and developing a nature journaling conference at Schoodic became my new capstone project. And I had put together a portfolio that I was going to use as part of my presentation. And so I think I'll share some pages of that with you in the video, and just about my process that I went through to get to the place where registration is now open for this conference. And we have some amazing presenters coming, and I'm really looking forward to, I hope it's a success. We want to try to do it every year. So the first thing, because I'd never organized anything like this, I was like, oh my gosh, this is me like pondering, what the heck am I going to do? How do I do this? Megan, Michelle Pinkham, and Catherine Schmidt at Schoodic Institute were super helpful. They were a great team to work with. And it's a beautiful campus to hold a nature journaling conference. So everything worked out. I was able to find a bunch of presenters. People were incredibly supportive. People wanted to come. Even if they couldn't come, they were supportive and encouraging. And we have a great group of presenters coming. We have some Maine Master Naturalists coming. Our own Karen Zimmerman is going to be doing a night walk. Yay! And Jill Osgood and Andrea Lonnie are going to do nature journaling workshops. They're both Maine Master Naturalists. Lori Murray, who does beautiful watercolor nature journals, and has started a nature journaling group down in the Rockland area, is also going to be a presenter. And Jean McKay, who comes up every year to do workshops with at Hog Island, is coming. And I don't know, we just have so many amazing people coming. Donna Long from down in Pennsylvania is coming to talk about her nature journaling method. She tends to follow the Grinnell method. Anyway, so I'm really excited. And when I started this process, I was sort of felt a little frozen. And I kind of felt like that day when we all began our Maine Master Naturalist program, I heard many people express fears about nature journaling. Fears about, oh my gosh, I can't draw. And I have those same fears. I'm not a good drawer. And I started thinking about the beautiful poem written by David White, and Start Close In. And that just seemed like so apropos of the nature journaling process. So his poem is Start Close In. Don't take the second step or the third. Start with the first thing, close in, the step you don't want to take. Start with the ground you know, the pale ground beneath your feet, your own way to begin the conversation. Start with your own question. Give up another people's questions. Don't let them smother something simple. And it continues on, but start close in. And I think that's where we all have to start in our nature journaling process, is where we are. And that's exactly the perfect place to start. The other thing that I discovered during this process, and I kind of knew this, that there were so many different ways to approach nature journaling. Some people are very analytical and will have, boxes, weather boxes describing the wind speed and the temperature, and they'll track that over time. Some people add photos and drawings and compare them. I put photos in my nature journal. I didn't feel like my sketching abilities would capture what some photos could capture, and so I wanted to include that information and did so as a photo. Sometimes we can say, I'm going to go out in nature journal and I'm going to find 4 small things, and I'm going to pay attention to the 4 small things. Or maybe I'm going to go nature journaling and find 2 big things and pay attention to those. One of the really cool things that I discovered was this way of mapping color. And I'm going to try to show you a page from this portfolio I did. This is a pond close to where I live, and when I mapped the color, I just wrote G's and B's and BRs, and then I color-coded those letters, and then when I got home, I colored in the colors. And so you can already see there's vegetation here, there's water here, there's exposed earth here. And then I added a sound map. And this is the sound of wind through trees, wind through grasses, water lapping, amphibians calling, wind direction, and birds singing. So now I have a lot of information between 2 really super simple maps, and it didn't require great sketching skills. Another way that I really like to journal is this is the phenology wheel that I did for our class this past year. And there are lots of different ways of doing that phenology wheel. You could do it for a whole year like I did. You could do it for 1 month each day. You could do it based on weather, based on sunset and sunrise, moonrise, so many different options. And then sometimes I just think simple silhouettes are so incredibly powerful. So I just appreciate nature journaling so much for the way it allows us to express ourselves individually. And for me, that includes a spiritual connection to the natural world. And so I always like to include poetry or quotes. And I think sometimes it's kind of fun to include those quotes. Here's a quote about vision and seeing. And so I draw it in an eye. And here's a quote about knowledge in valleys. Or a little poem I wrote about trees. I can't remember what it says. Tall, royal, enriching, evergreen. And then a little haiku. So, so many different things you can include in the nature journal. And I did mention the Grinnell journal, which is a much more, it's a system, and there's certain pieces of the system and ways of putting it together that are more prescribed, I guess, than I tend to be a more free-flowing nature journalist. So I'm super excited about this conference. I think it's going to be really fun, and I think it's going to offer a lot of different choices for people, and you don't have to, it's good for beginners, it's good for nature journalists that have been nature journaling for a while. And my really good friend designed a nice poster for us and logo. And anyway, that was my capstone project, and so far so good. I'm just hoping that people will register and come. The event is September 18th through 20th, and you can commute, you can stay. There's lots of different options. And I'm just really excited about doing it. I think it's just going to be a lot of fun. And I really hope that it can become a yearly event. And, I have to thank the Maine Master Naturalist Capstone Project for kind of providing me the gateway for doing this. So thank you all. See you soon, I hope. And if not all together, then maybe out in the world in nature.